I've been critical of Canelo over the past couple of shows and a few shows about, the pricing of the pay-per-view show. The overall ducking, you could say, of Benavidez and whatnot is occurring there. And I stand by those statements. Nothing changes there. But I've always made sure to emphasize this. That at the end of the day, Canelo Alvarez is the face of boxing. At the end of the day, Canelo Alvarez is a first bout Hall of Famer and one of the all-time greats. That at the end of the day, Canelo Alvarez has done more than enough for the sport to deserve to do whatever the heck he wants to do in any regard to whatever he wants to do, scheduling fight-wise or anything along those lines. My only thing has always been, if he still wants to be perceived as one of the top boxers in the entire world, he's going to have to go out there and still consider competing against the top guys to prove himself as to being in that top pound-for-pound group. That's really where the foundational thing comes. But that's all beyond the point for now. Because what I want to discuss right now is Canelo Alvarez, his legacy, what he's done for boxing, his impact on the sport, just how impactful he is, what he's done, and why we need to recognize and not take this for granted for what he's doing right now. It's easy to say all these different things about, the controversy that Canelo causes, and for us to go out here now and speak on, bashing his name essentially. But I want to make sure that we don't go around this route and say, Canelo Alvarez, we're just going to forget about how great he is and not embrace his greatness, not be able to witness and almost, lose and not take advantage of the moment of however many fights more we have remaining of Canelo, because that's not something we should do. And I want to make sure that everyone takes full advantage of the remaining fights that Canelo Alvarez has in his career. Therefore, I want everyone to make sure just go through some stats for what he's brought to the sport of boxing and just discuss this with you guys. Because Canelo Alvarez, he heads into this fight against Edgar Berlanga. He is 61-2-2. He has 39 KOs in his career. Before he became a professional fighter, Canelo Alvarez was 44-2 with 12 KOs. That's at the age of 13 until the age of 15, which is when he turned pro. He has carried being the face of boxing for many years now. And he has never once been knocked down in his entire pro career. Those that know him know that he has one of, if not the greatest chins in boxing history. He has done the unthinkable. When you talk about fighting this many times in your career and not getting knocked down in a sport that's known for being one of the most brutal sports in all the world, and you don't get knocked down, is sensational. He is 33 years old, and he has multiple titles through 4 total weight classes. He has won 3 titles at super welter, 4 total actually in super welter, 3 at middle, 4 at middle, 4 at super middle. He's also won a light heavyweight championship. 4 weight classes he's become a world champion in. And if you might say, well, how did he get to that path? Well, let's reflect. A list of the guys in which Canelo Alvarez has fought in his career. Because I know a lot of people say now, he's ducking this, that, and the third. Well, guess what? He's gone through an entire career of not ducking guys. Because the people he's fight, Triple G, Floyd Mayweather, Dimitri Bivol, Daniel Jacobs, Shane Mosley, Jermell Charlo, Austin Trout, Caleb Plant, Miguel Cotto, Billy Joel Sanders, Callum Smith, Liam Smith, Amir Khan, John Ryder, Jaime Munguia, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. The list goes on. Canelo Alvarez has put together a resume that is one of the greatest of all time. He is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's one of the faces of boxing. He will never be forgotten. His impact on boxing as a whole, but specifically if we want to go to Mexico, the impact he's had on Mexico is ridiculous. He has completely transformed and made the entire country a boxing country per se, or one of the top boxing countries in terms of the fan bases out there for boxing. He has become an icon throughout the entire world. He's a guy that's made incredible fights throughout his entire career. He's given it his all. He's always put forth his best effort. He's a guy, like I said, that has one of the greatest chins we've ever seen in boxing history. He never fails to disappoint and put on great shows. And so, yes, of course I stand by what I said before. But as we approach this fight, we don't know how many more fights Canelo Alvarez will have in his career. Maybe he's fighting for another 10 years. Maybe just 1 year. Maybe this is his last fight. You don't know what the case is for Canelo. What we do know is that he's bound for the Hall of Fame. And what we do know is that there is at least one more fight that he has upcoming this weekend on Saturday. And I think it'd be quite foolish of any of us to allow what we would want from him, the next big fight we want him to make, to hinder us from truly embracing watching an icon. All that's going to lead to is regret one day for the recognition that at the end of the day, this was one of the greatest fighters of all time. And we allowed somebody that gave everything he had to the sport and more to have his reputation in a sense ruined by your own personal viewing of him because he didn't make the fight that you wanted. And you no longer wanted to view him with the value in which he brought to the sport. He is an icon. He's done more than enough, and he calls the shots and can do exactly what he wants to do. That goes for any great icon, Hall of Famer, all-time great in any sport. And we see it transpire in every sport. But for him, I think it'd be foolish of us not to embrace just what he's done for the sport of boxing and just how impactful he's been. So he's fighting this weekend. It could be his last fight. Maybe he's got many, many more. But for us, I'd say don't be foolish to allow the desires of what you want him to do in his career to hinder how great he has been and the ability to go watch an all-time great fight. He is the face of boxing. He's a Hall of Famer and one of the all-time greats. What he's done for boxing can only be compared to by a handful of fighters of all time. He is truly an icon, and we have the opportunity to go watch somebody of his caliber fight this weekend on Saturday.